Good evening and welcome to Transition Talks Tuesdays with the Columbus School District Transition the program and Jalea Henderson, who's been a fantastic partner with Columbus Schools. And this is our last of the series of Transition Talks Tuesdays, and we are ending with one that is we had a lot of people registered for this, so I'm expecting people to continue to pour in. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get right into this. Tonight, we're going to be talking about looking ahead, special needs financial planning, and very excited to have Paul Brokenshire with me tonight. Looking forward, Paul. Glad that you could make your time to come here. We're all interested in how to take care of our kiddos because none of us seem to be aging backwards. We continually seem to be aging forwards. And so this is a concern. So Paul, thank you so much for being here and looking forward to what you can teach us tonight.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for the kind intro, Tim. Well, again, my name's Paul Brokenshire today, from Special Needs Planning LLC. I run it with the founder of the organization, Robert Johnston. So a little bit about us. Bob started the business, oh my goodness, many, many years ago. He was actually in a auto accident himself. He was smashed between two parked cars. Started doing some financial planning on that side of things. Found it a real struggle in this world to navigate the hazards and what to do and what not to do. And then fast forwarded to 30 years down the road, Bob has a child with his lovely wife, and they were both blessed with a child with autism. So not only was Bob injured and disabled on himself, but he also had a special needs individual in the household too. So he said, well, geez, if I can do it, why not pass these lessons on to the general public? Fast forward another many years, I came along. I've actually been in the general financial planning industry for going on 15 years. I got to know Bob very well when I had a good friend who was injured in a motorcycle accident. And I said, hey, Bob, I want to know far more about this side of the business. How can I get involved? When Bob decided to retire, he said, hey, you're a good natural fit. This is the perfect place for you to take over the business. So just a little bit about myself and my organization, call it my 2-minute plug. Today's agenda, we're going to talk specifically about some of the basics of, what do we have to deal with on what are the issues we're dealing with today, high level understanding of what those government benefits are, general differences in estate planning versus, our most able-bodied families in the special needs world. In addition, what's important to you, how to communicate those goals, funding a special needs trust, and how to start that financial planning process. We may have done some of that in the past, but I think it's really important to start when we have conversations like this. Think of it like starting that process all over again. Even if you've done something in the past, we're starting here fresh because we all have histories, we all have futures, but we've got to start somewhere. So the basics. So there are standard provisions in our wills. What are those? The basics of requests of life insurance, qualified plan beneficiary. These could jeopardize an individual's eligibility for government benefits. We can have assets that are in excess of statutory limits that could disenfranchise or disqualify someone from entitlement benefits under Medicaid. In addition, this could create really complicated situation for supplemental securities insurance. So that could be SSI or even SSDI on that side. So let's start with the end in mind. Unfortunately, we live in a world where there's a consistent struggle between need and affordability. So we need to provide a quality of life and a lifetime of care. What do I mean by that? But we all have a specific needs, and to Tim's point, we want to provide the best we can, the best care if we can for our children and for the people involved in our lives. we also want that to be provided for as long as possible for their own lifetime. Since to Tim's point, none of us are getting any longer. So how do we consistently work within that space between that need and that affordability? Because this has to make sense from a financial perspective. But the law says anybody who wants to receive government support cannot have more than $2,000 in their name, right? So how can we answer this question? How can anybody live in with $2,000 a month in their name when they have Medicaid providing health benefits, or we're providing some supplemental Social Security income, which provides a small income to be used exclusively for those basic survival needs, i.e., for example, their food and shelter. Now, another thing to consider, those Medicaid that Medicaid assistance will vary by state. So a resident in Wisconsin will be treated very differently to some of my clients in Michigan or even Florida. To answer that question of how could somebody live on that $2,000 but still qualify for these assets, we need to understand that estate planning for special needs is a very different animal than general estate planning with regard for both the financial and legal concerns. There are two entirely different concepts that need to be approached differently. So let's talk a little about that legal aspect. And Tim, I just want to make sure, because I was a little nervous for it. I'm not talking too fast. I don't know if slow down or anything's popping up.
Nope, you're doing well. I've got the chat up. I'm looking over my older resource list to be ready to help you out.
Okay, good.
I
I
am
just want to
chuckling
make sure if I'm
because
going too fast, that people are saying, hey, slow down.
nope, so far so good. And I am totally smiling because one of the things whenever Bob did these in person, he would always bring a box.
Yes,
It was his
bless his heart.
visual. Just think of it as a box.
Yep.
And I'm like, hey, there's Bob's box. Aw.
We learn from our mentors, don't we? So to mention that, let's think of the legal aspects of this situation. Specifically wills, trusts, and then guardianships on that side. So what is a will? In essence, a will is your statement to the court of what you want to happen with your stuff, your things when you pass away. As individuals, we designate an individual, an executor, to enforce the contentions of a will. However, a will can be challenged or contested in court. This is vitally important because these are your intentions once you've gone. Who's going to defend them once you've passed away? On the other hand, we've got more specific, more enforceable entities like a trust. A trust is its own legal operating entity. The trustee is the person named to carry out the intentions of the trust. So in essence, the executor is to the will as the trustee is to the trust. To Bob's point, and to what Tim was laughing at, think of the trust as a cardboard box. Okay? We fill this box. It is purely we need mechanisms to fill this box. It's a container that we can put things into. Those things could be assets, they can be life insurance, they could be real estate. We need things to fund this trust. We also want to focus on the trust can be revocable and irrevocable. It sounds far more complicated than it is, but the idea of being revocable, it can be changed. An irrevocable trust specifically cannot be amended. Those assets and those trusts are specifically designated for that purpose. And the third part of that is obviously the guardianships. We've probably all heard the term, but a guardianship is basically an individual or an entity that assumes legal responsibility for the ward, the person, the individual that will be taken. We have guardianships of individuals and a guardian ad litem who is a court-appointed representative to the ward. So backing up a couple more slides, $2,000 to our name. How do we control this? How do we control that lifetime of care and needs on that balance? The answer is the special needs trust. Different to other trusts, different to the living trust. This is a special needs trust. It should be irrevocable. And it should be a supplemental trust, meaning it will supplement what other assets out there. And we want to make sure that we highlight the beneficiary of the trust is the special needs individual. Now, the owner of the trust could be yourselves. It could be the an aunt and uncle, and it could be the person of special needs themselves, but they're not necessarily the trustee. We want to make sure to that point that it's irrevocable so that the assets in the trust can never be used for any reason other than what the trustee and what the owner is outlining in the supporting trust document. We want to be as specific as possible. How do we do this? Well, a trust has supporting documents. We want to be allows you to itemize specific uses of the assets in order to enhance that quality of life, provide a lifetime of care. But you have to do it in such a way as to be specific without being restrictive. I'll give you a quick example of that. If we're talking about a retirement account, we want to say that these assets in this retirement account are going to be for the use of little Timmy's care. But we're not going to necessarily say this retirement account labeled HTM 1234 at Schwab Investment Company, because now we're being specifically naming a company, and we all know that banks, etc., financial institutions change names. So we're trying to keep it as specific to mention the retirement assets, but we're not naming a specific account. We also want to make sure that that trust is going to be prepared for a future that we can't control. This is where, if we back up one more slide too, was on the irrevocable side, because things happen. We have divorces, asset levels change dramatically, people start to make a lot more money. Sometimes they go through hardships. And sometimes, dare I say it, when we go through hardships, we start looking for places to pull. No, no, no. These assets we set aside for little Timmy are for little Timmy's assets. They are not for mom and dad who may be having a tough time that they're going through. We want to name fiduciaries. What are fiduciaries? Fiduciaries are someone that are legally obligated to act in the best interest of that industry. That could be an entity. It could be a trustee. There's organizations out there that we can talk more about, and I'm sure has great resources in regards to that can provide those services. And the final point, we want to make sure that what happens if that beneficiary dies? What happens to these assets? We want to make sure that we label those as to what happens to those, where do those go, and who benefits ultimately from that situation. Okay. So now that we have created this trust, this box that we're putting assets into, how do we get assets into it that we can ensure that quality of life and that lifetime of care? There are many types of investments in assets and things that can be used to fund the special needs, but the most common we see on our end, real estate, investments, retirement funds, ABLE accounts, and life insurance. Neither one of them is necessarily better or worse than the other. They're all really different and they all play different parts. Real estate is great, but it's pretty illiquid, right? It has to be sold. It has to be worth something. Investments fluctuate with markets. Retirement funds are primarily used for retirement. We have ABLE accounts, which are incredibly helpful vehicles. We'll get briefly into them later, but they can be restrictive. And then obviously the final vehicle we use quite a bit is life insurance. able accounts. If you've done any Googling or searching, you've probably run across the term able account. Able accounts come from the Able Act of 2014. They mirror what a 529 education savings plans. Able, obviously achieving a better life experience. So they can be restrictive. They're great. Accounts cannot receive more than, oh, that's a little outdated. It's 2024. It's $18,000 a year that can be put into them. And we can make sure that that's corrected, right? Specifically on our end. There are state account limits that we can have in them. We do have a choice of state plans to work with. There are great resources out there in regards to them. We have to be, they can be restrictive. There is a Medicaid payback clause. So if that beneficiary was to pass away with funds and the assets, some of those assets might be claimed back. And I say might be, it's not necessarily common, but it's there. So we got to pay attention to it. So we've talked about the other vehicles. There's obviously real estate on that side. We know that can be on that end. That's the most restrictive. So we primary, as a general rule of thumb, we use life insurance as the primary funding vehicle for that trust. Why? Because certain policies allow for those premiums to be set an amount that may be more affordable when a benefit that is guaranteed to the beneficiary tax-free. And of course, the trust can accept other assets, but this is really where we do. Life insurance allows for a transfer of wealth quickly and efficiently. We generally, the owners or the parents, and often in most cases, or a grandparent or interested individual, they maintain their own net worth. They're not necessarily giving up their access to their own things. It can be affordable, depending what's it could be used, but it really fits the bill in a lot of good situations. Yeah, give you a good example. Survivorship life insurance. So what is that? The idea is that it's based on the life of two different peoples, right? It's the second to die policy. So if you and perhaps a spouse were to pass away, this would only pay into the trust upon you both passing. There are advantages to it, but of course, we have to go through underwriting for it. We do make sure that if with the second to die, at least in that case, that we could be underwritten, one of us could be uninsurable from that perspective. So we do get away around things a little bit on. I only put this part in here because the question is, how much do you need? And that is the thing that we all want to focus on. Everybody's needs are different. Everybody depends on many different variables, cash needs for emergencies, college funding, long-term financial obligations, ongoing living expenses. But I guess the idea is that this is a conversation that is best had with that financial planning, whether it's me or another special needs financial planner out there. How much is needed specifically from a death benefit or from a planning perspective? That's all going to depend at the time of what your specific situation is. We need to qualify what that need is at that point in time. Okay, so now we've talked about what is a trust. We've talked about some of the funding vehicles, and I say some because we don't have all night. And then we want to talk about this trust. How do we communicate them? How do we communicate what this is? So with a special need trust, we can affect the legal use of assets in order to supplement that quality of life and ensure lifetime care. But how do we make sure that those values are communicated to the caregiver, the trustee, the person who's going to be taking control of these things that we've created? Communication is key, like anything in life. So make sure to communicate with the family about the issues that we discussed today. It is helpful to effectively outline these concepts to your family. I always tell our clients, and this isn't something you need to work with an attorney, draft a letter to your family. Here's an example. Uncle John wants to send some savings bonds to little Timmy. We know this could affect Timmy's eligibility for things. So rather than complicate things and tell Uncle John, you know what, Timmy, this is a bad idea, we just want to have draft a well-written letter. We have plenty of examples that are out there. Hey, Uncle John, can you retitle this? We're just going to you're gifting those to Sam's trust, which would complicate his situation. We still want to take him for his benefit, but we want to pay those out to the trust, not him. Much easier conversation to say, hey, don't give them to him because you're going to mess up his benefits. Another important document we always want to think about, and this is not technically a legal document, but I believe it's as equally as important. Think of it like the owner's manual for your child. We really want to communicate our goals in here. Really depends on what is right for you. You know your child or your ward more than anybody. Okay. You know their diagnosis. You know their medical and nutritional. You know that maybe he likes McDonald's one day a week. And that's really important to him. So we want to make sure that those letters are going in there. What are his nutritional needs? Discuss things in their marriage. Religion is very important to some people. What are your expectations regarding housing? What should housing look like? Do we want is group home perfect for him? Is living in an apartment something that we want to do? We also want to list specific names and important names and addresses of people that we want to be involved in those future conversations. So why a letter of intent? It's really just talking about him or her or what's important or they, right? What's important to them? And right for you, and I should say your unit. One thing I always want to touch on, it's becoming more and more important, is long-term care. Now, I'm not talking necessarily long-term care for the special needs individual, but I'm talking about you as the caregiver. Why? Because you could be a potential drain on those assets that are benefited from there. Years ago, we didn't necessarily need this slide. However, the cost of a nursing home is running anywhere from $200, $300, $500 a day. This effects on an estate can be devastating. So remember, and I say this is a Bob line. Bob's wife used to be a flight attendant, but the line is, put your mask on yourself before you put the mask on your child. The same holds true for regard for long-term care. If the more secure you are as an individual, the more you've taken care of the side of things, you want to make sure that you're taking care of both your needs so that the child too. You do not want to be a detriment or a burden to your children and vice versa. So how do I get started? I would say you got to start somewhere. Start talking to someone like me or organizations that we're already having conversations with at this point. So I don't charge any consultation fees to have a conversation with to start. We can bring in other professionals along the way. There are attorneys that specialize in this world. There are financial planners who specializes. We help to address all of these concerns along the way. The goal is to make sure that you're just being as specific as possible. So often that starts with, who do I reach out to first? And then don't be afraid to ask questions when you do meet with people. I always want to, when you're speaking with a professional or someone who's calling themselves a professional space, ask them questions. How many people have you helped through this process? How many trusts have you done? How many special needs families have you worked with? How many families are you currently operating with? What's your goal with this? And the one thing I always want to end with is why? Why are you doing what you're doing? I can speak for myself. I'm doing this because I met a wonderful individual through Bob, and then through the grace of God and my own experience, I had a good friend go through, again, a massive motorcycle accident. And I hate to say it, but I felt a calling that I need to do something like this. Why not take the gifts that I've given, the education I brought, and help? That's my why. Make sure you're asking people these things. Why do they do what they do? So, you are the expert. Always remember, in financial planning, it's a balance between that quality of life and the lifetime of care. We have to balance the two of them constantly. And, like any goal in life, that's going to meander, it's going to change, it's going to have its ups and its downs, but we have to start somewhere. How can I help you? How can my organization help you? As we discussed, again, my 2-second thing, we have quite a network of individuals, myself, who work in the space constantly. So more than happy to help. And I guess to that point, Tim, thank you for having me on. My information's on here. I'll make sure it's shared. I want to make sure that I am a resource for you, but I'm not going to be bashing down anybody's door. I live in the Milwaukee area, just north of Milwaukee, but obviously Zoom works great. Otherwise, I do travel to Madison periodically too, or the greater Wisconsin area. So,
Thank you so much, Paul.
sure.
Very well done. Number one, I'm not feeling foggy, like I have no idea what you talked about. So that's always a fantastic thing. So I do know that we have some people that do have some questions out there.
Okay.
Even if you don't want to turn your cameras on, totally understand. You're more than welcome to turn your cameras on. But if not, if you unmute, I'll be able to see that you unmute, and then I'll be able to call on you. So anybody have any questions to start us off this evening? Michelle.
Yep, I do, of course. So question, so we have a will set up, but it's not like set up for, we have an inherited home. We want to give it to our kids. Do we need to set that up into like a trust or just like put it into a will to say, hey, this is what they get, Like, how do we need to do that then? I'm kind of nervous after learning about all that stuff.
Yeah, well, don't be, look, we all got to start somewhere, so don't be nervous about it. It's a great question. I think it's more specifically, I hate to say this because I sound like I'm dodging it, but it'll be specific to your situation. Okay. You're on the call, but there's a special needs individual or individuals in the household.
Yep.
Okay. Children in that
Yes.
case? Okay. So most of the time, yeah, I would advocate that you're going to have some sort of a trust set up for that. And the home will probably be one of the funding mechanisms, that real estate side for the trust. Okay. Now that may be, that would be tailored specifically for you, depending on that conversation with an attorney or myself, whatever it is. But you don't necessarily, and I don't know necessarily how able-bodied or what the true situation is, but yeah, if it's just within the will or something, we may be jeopardizing their eligibility for those benefits that they are or might receive. So we have to be a little bit careful on that end. It doesn't mean I never want to make you nervous, but these are things that we're aware of, and that's why we're starting the conversation, right? So great
So
question.
what would you suggest that be done then? Just put into like a trust, like how do you put that into a trust?
So we have to start a trust up. We can continue that conversation too. If my information's out there, I'll make sure
Okay.
it's you too. Let's continue. I'd love to have further conversations or about it. Yeah, I think.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions that people might have?
So I think I see one in the chat there, Tim.
Okay.
Can you deed the home upon death to the trust? Yes. 100%.
And that would avoid the it wouldn't then count as an asset.
Correct.
Okay.
You added a second line of question though, and you have, if you have one specific child with special needs, I'm gonna caveat my first answer, we could make things complicated. So it can be a specific amount, but it might complicate the state situation a little bit. So we just want to make, again, another conversation we can have offline, but it could necessarily, because remember, that is an asset that we might want to keep on the trust, but has to be maybe a letter of intent to the other children saying Timmy might be inheriting the house for his benefit, kind of things.
And that goes back to your communicating
Yeah,
and letting
100%.
people know what your intent is. That it can be a step easy to forget because in our minds it makes sense why we are making all these decisions and why we're making all these steps. But if we don't communicate that to other people, then it's in danger of going sideways.
Correct. Communication, true. I know it sounds redundant, but communication really is key. And that is that communication isn't necessarily between you and the trustee or you and the special needs individual. The rest of the family has to almost be bought in as well. You need the other children to understand that they're not necessarily getting disenfranchised, right? Fair isn't necessarily equal in these family situations.
All right, back to the chat for you. Let's start with can you clarify a little bit about what could happen when the person with the special need passes and you set up I'm assuming a special needs trust for them?
Mhm.
How do you stipulate what happens if they should die?
Sure, that stipulation obviously will be part of what the trust is. Any good attorney is going to make sure that's included in there. It could be as simple as a line stating those assets will be passed on to the remaining children and their children, or it could see something as will go to a charity of choice or something like that. But pretty much that's one of the directives of the trust itself.
So does the special needs trust avoid the government taking any money that's left in the trust if the child's receiving public benefits? The child's on Medicaid, let's say, and
Yes.
you have a special needs trust, the child passes away. The government can't come in and say, okay, we paid for all this care. We're going to take that money from the trust.
No, to answer your question, so when you're talking the government, or in that case, 9 out of 10 times it's Social Security Administration and Medicaid, they cannot claim those back, which they can do in an ABLE account.
Right.
They don't necessarily do take them back, but I've rarely seen them do it, but they can. A special needs, it's a third-party special needs trust specifically is its own entity. It cannot be touched.
And then in the middle of those two questions, if someone started a trust for 4 of their kids, can it be modified? So you talked about this irrevocable trust. What if things change?
Right.
How do you make changes to a trust? How do you modify it?
Trust can always be, so here's the caveat. You had constructed an irrevocable trust that the funds were funded into. Most of the time, if we have an able-bodied child or perhaps multiple children, they each have their own trust. So you can modify a irrevocable trust, or I'm sorry, a revocable trust that you may have set up. But if you had created a trust that was specifically for that child, that cannot be modified. But we can go back and create a separate trust. It's its own entity, right? We want to, and you want to intentionally keep them separate from that perspective. So can it be modified? That's where it's going to be how it was originally set up. Right? If it was some trust work that was originally done, and it's 9 times out of 10, it's a revocable trust, meaning it can be modified. If it was set up specifically for the special needs trust and the irrevocable side, we cannot modify it.
Okay.
It may not be funded yet, though.
Right. So it sounds like it's another person that would be wise to reach out to you so that you can walk through what kind of trust they have, that they seem to have one trust for their 4 kids. And so she probably needs to talk to somebody about, is that really the best way to safeguard and pass along those assets? And
Right.
that'd
I
be a good
think that's
conversation to
probably
have.
a conversation better taken off. Yeah, I went down the rabbit hole a little bit, but
No,
yes.
not at all. I'm I'm reading between lines. What about how much do you know about like life insurance cash value? If that life insurance, if it's in the trust, it's not at risk of being taken by the government if it's in a special needs trust.
Mhm.
What if do you know if it's not in a special needs trust, but you have your child as a beneficiary? If they,
So life insurance is tax-free, post-tax. So it's one of two only vehicles in our investment world right now that are purely, until somebody figures out how to change it, which we know that things change in that, and it's completely tax-free, it's post-tax. So any funds that have been put into cash value life insurance, those are tax-free. And those will pass on to the beneficiary with the multiplier, obviously, of the death benefit, tax-free.
That might be very good.
okay. And so again, I'm thinking the scenario that if a child is on public benefits and they receive a life insurance payout, that's going to be, even if it's tax-free, it's going to be treated as an asset,
Correct.
which is going
That's why we
to
want to make sure that
possibly
that's
disqualify them. So we want to protect it within that container.
correct. Keep
Okay.
it within the box.
There you go. Keep it in that cardboard box. Other questions? I saw somebody did take themselves off mute. Wondering if you have a question, please feel free to go ahead.
Go ahead, Dan.
Oh, hi. Well, our little kiddo's 17 right now, going on to 18, and we're going into the SSI type benefits. And he's been progressing throughout his entire life and getting better healing from the incident that occurred. In 10 years, I'm thinking and I'm hoping that he'll continue to progress, and he may progress out of and be able to function on some level in society, and perhaps not need a trust and not need supplement and not have, and maybe not even be eligible. So that's the carrot, and that's the end of the rainbow is for us.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, if that happens, that gives us the money that we would use for supported that trust, and suddenly we would have some that we could use ourselves in in time that we have left, right, through retirement. And that's just one of the. So how can you construct an irrevocable trust with that in mind, that a person can become not eligible for it based upon the skills and abilities improvement? Because that's our hope. Our hope is that he doesn't remain stagnant, that he continues on over the next decade.
Sure. Great question. And I'll speak for myself and I don't know what the accident was, but yes, that's exactly in my case, Brendan, my friend, that's the hope and the drive. Creating the trust to that point is a box. It doesn't necessarily have to be funded right away to that point. You may say in your estate documents that these assets that you're hoping to use for, to your point, your own retirement, because remember, we're planning for two events here. You've got to live through your own stuff, and we have to plan for your son's long-term hopes and dreams on that side of things. You can designate that the trust only comes into place and is only effectively funded upon your passing. Does that make sense? You can have a trust, but it's not
seems
necessarily
not to cover that hole that we have.
Right. And I think, again, another great question that we might want to take off a good circumstance, but there are specific things that we can put into place and wording and language that can address that specific situation, right? Hey, we're looking for these, and you want to be pretty specific as to what markers you're looking for in his care, right? These are the things that we have targets that we would like him to hit.
Sure.
At that point.
Sure.
So
we'd like to
question, and I don't want to spend too much going because we can really dive into the weeds there, but there are certainly things that you can put in and different assets in different lines that a good attorney can construct it that way.
And you're a good attorney.
I'm a financial planner, not an attorney.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go.
You'd be on
My
the
bad.
clock if you're an attorney.
Sure.
But you would know, you know people. I would
Yes,
say.
I shouldn't, thank you, Tim. What I've done, I shouldn't say what Bob has started and what I've continued to foster is a network of financial people involved in our work. So I may not practice law, but I've done enough of this that I know quite a bit about it. And I can go and say, okay, go talk to these 3 attorneys, have a conversation with each one of them, figure out which one's a good fit for you. And then they can construct those documents for you, because once they do, attorneys are great. They're really good at what they do, but in my opinion, controversial, they can be expensive. So let's get some of that legwork out of the way before we engage their services.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Other questions that may be out there? Which by now you figured out that we can answer the basics, and then it'll be like, ah, that's the twist. Then let's have a conversation. That is normal. That's the way life is, because all of our lives, all of our children, the way that our expectations, our values, our goals, they're all different. We're all very much individuals, and our families are their own entities. So it's not surprising that, some of the questions are going to be like, yeah, but we have this crazy Aunt Mary. So we want to be able to give you that vehicle to ask those questions too offline, by contacting Paul.
Sure.
Um,
And I'll say this, Tim, I know a heck of a lot about a lot of things in this space, but I'm not an expert at everything. But I certainly know someone who is. So, but to that point, I always tell every client, don't hesitate to ask, or a prospect or someone I haven't talked to, because chances are I know someone who knows the answer to your question, because I don't care what business you're in or what field you work in, you don't know the answer to everything, and I don't either.
So I'm going to go ahead and insert a question, because not everybody who has children with special healthcare needs, who have IEPs and are in the system, qualify for public benefits. So they don't have this asset worry that's hanging over their head, but yet their kid may not ever make enough to retire comfortably. So do you have any suggestions for those families who have special needs kids that they don't need to protect anything because the kid's never going to get public benefits? How do we set aside and take care of those kids? Is it the simple route of trusts and wills? It just doesn't have to be a special needs trust and will?
Yes and no. We try to be as constructive as we can within our own bounds to that point. It's every situation's unique, but you want to try tailor it to your situation. So yes, why? Because these are the tools that we have to work with within this space, and we try to do everything we can. Do we have the answer to everything? No. So we have to create something that is our directive of what we want to happen to these, for the benefit of these children or for these individuals. I guess it doesn't have to be your child, right? But it just, you may decide that maybe the trust is, and where it's going to be administered by crazy Aunt Joe. Well, guess what? Crazy Aunt Joe may not want to be that director of the trust. So there are legal entities that can step in at that point too. So you want to tailor it and keep it in the space as much as possible. But to your point, I think what you're getting at, sometimes just having something in place is better than nothing, but you want to start somewhere.
Excellent. We have a better question than mine. If a trust is set up before a child is age 18, does it need to be done after he turns 18?
No, but I would suggest every legal box, trust / will needs to be reviewed. Take a look at it. A lot changes in 5 years. Sometimes a lot of our clients, every couple of years, we're just taking a look at it. What changed? And if we don't need to update anything, great. But maybe Tim mentioned IEPs. Hey, guess what? Jennifer mentioned that progressively they may be improving, right? Whatever their situation is. Maybe there were some updates we have to account for that this is happening. So there could be some amendments. It doesn't have to necessarily be redone.
Y'all have been asking some excellent questions tonight. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being so engaged on a semi-stormy weather Tuesday evening. Greatly appreciate it. Last chance, last call for questions. As you think about that, I am going to go ahead and put our brief evaluation into the chat. I would beg of y'all to grab that link and open it up in another browser and fill out a very, very short survey, just so that I have proof that people talk to me. So I just really appreciate the fact to know whether what we do is making a difference. Other people ask. I know it does because I get to talk to y'all on Tuesday nights, and that's really cool. Any final questions in chat or otherwise, or unmuting? If not, or even as people are putting them together, any final thoughts, Paul?
No, I'm the classic point of, oh, I should have asked this. I should have thought of this. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I don't bite. I'm pretty good at what I do. We have a lot of work. We love our work. We have a passion for it. So if there's anything you want to reach out, please don't hesitate. I know Tim will send out our info too. So really appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody, for taking your time to talk to me.
Thank you so much. Julia, do you have any final words? Yes, you will get a final email link to all the series and to the webpage where all the different discussions, all the different presentations will be held. We'll send that out to you as well. I'll also send out information about when we'll be doing an in-person care mapping session we'll be close to you guys all in Beaver Dam coming up in May. And so we'll get that out to you as well. So thank you all. This has been an absolute pleasure and look forward to meeting you all again. Thank you.